Hello everyone, today I'm gonna be ranking all secret packs in Yu-Gi-Oh! Master Duel. Oh my god, there are so many of them, this will take a while. Now as you can see, there are so many of them, so I'm gonna go over them briefly and I'm not gonna make this video 60 minutes, alright? Let's get into it. Starting off, we have the Heraldic and Ogdoarek pack. This is F tier because there are better ways to get these cards and the pack isn't really that big of a deal. Same thing goes for the Artifact pack, it's pretty bad because it also has the Guardian cards and they're just not good as well. Now the Rika pack is actually upgraded with plants and I believe this to be A or even S tier. To be honest, maybe even S tier. This pack is amazing now because it has all of the plant support, or almost all of it. And yeah, you just do a couple of temples and you get a lot of the plant cards that you need, which is great value. Now moving on, we also have Drytron. This is probably A tier still. I mean, it's a good pack when it came out and it's still fine because it's nice value for your buck. Drytron as a deck isn't that great anymore, but it's still decent to pick it up if you'd like. Now moving on, we have the Dugmatica pack. I would go with B tier because Dugmaticas aren't that bad, aren't that great, somewhere in the middle. We also get a nice engine, so it's pretty good value, I guess. Now we have the Marinces pack and it's also A tier because it's great value. The deck is pretty nice, pretty simple to play. It's also fairly budget, so you can just pick it up with one secret pack and leave, which is amazing. Moving on, we have the Tellarknight pack. This should be B tier because it's a little more expensive, a little less good, and a little less popular, so yeah. Now we have the Ignister pack. I would go with B or even A tier. Now when it comes down to Ignister, the deck isn't amazing. However, the pack is actually incredible because it has only 3 URs and all of them are just Ignister, so you can pick it up, leave, and so be it, which is great. And for that reason, I'm actually gonna go up to A tier. It's just very budget. Now we have the Zombie pack and I would go with F tier because you can just buy the structure deck and craft one Ballard Rock and you're done. You don't need to pull for the cards. The Mermaid Atlantean is actually B tier and it could even go up to A tier when the new support comes out and maybe the cards are added in there, but for now we're gonna stick to B tier because the deck isn't as incredible, but still it's a pretty nice option. Moving on, we have the Ice Barrier pack, which is D tier. The only reason why you would want to pick this up is if you want to play Ice Barrier, but the new support for some reason isn't there yet, so you're just gonna have to craft it, which is very annoying. It's literally the same thing for Ancient Gears. You need to craft the cards because they're not in a pack. We also have the Shadow pack, which is actually B tier because Shadow aren't that amazing anymore, but the pack is actually pretty good for its value, so that's that. The BA and Magical Musketeer pack is also another B tier because it has pretty good value in it and you also get 2 very cool archetypes, but you will need to improve them somehow because they're not that amazing by themselves. We also have the Black Luster Chaos pack, which is probably C or B tier even. I'd go with C because there are only 1 to 2 cards you would ever need from this pack. The rest you can just pick up from a structure deck, so you don't really need to spend gems on it. You can just grab the cards that you need. Now also we have the Scrap pack, which is probably C as well. The Scrap engine is decent, but it's just not played anymore. You can pick it up if you want, but it's not that big of a deal. Now for Earth Machine, even though the deck isn't as incredible, I'd give it B tier because the value there is pretty good. You just pull, get the cards and leave. There's no extra BS added to it, so that's great. Pendulum Magicians probably also B or C tier. Now if you want to play Pendulum Magicians, obviously it's amazing to pick it up, you know, but in general the deck isn't as incredible, so I'm gonna put it at B tier, somewhere in the middle. Now Dark Words are between C or D tier, but I'm gonna leave them at C because they have Forbidden Droplet and it's a very nice staple to pick up. We also have the Naturia pack, which in my opinion is also probably C tier or even B tier, to be honest, because the archetype is actually pretty decent and the pack got the new support in there, which is nice. Now for the Virtual World pack, I'm gonna go with B tier because it's also a nice option. It's fairly budget and you get everything you need from the pack, which is amazing value. We also have the 6 Samurai pack, which I would go with D tier because it's honestly not that great of a pack in a deck. When the new support comes out, it will definitely go a little bit higher, but for now I haven't seen almost a single person play this deck, so I really don't think it's a good option to pick it up. For Fluffos, I'm gonna go with B or even A tier, to be honest. Even though the archetype isn't that incredible, you can just pick it up easily and play it and it's still nice, so maybe I would go with even A tier because it's just budget. Now for the Ignister and Life Twin pack, this is absolutely S tier in my opinion if you do want to pick up the decks because they're really good and both of them are nice. You can have fun with both of them and they're also very budget because they have just the cards that you need and no BS there as well. Now we have the Crystal Beast pack and I would go with B tier even though the deck is a little more expensive to pick up because there are a lot of URs in the pack. The deck is still fine and the new support is there, so that's great. We also have the Shiranui and Mayakashi pack and I would go with D tier because the only reason why you would pull it is because you want to get some zombie cards. In general, both of the archetypes aren't that amazing by themselves, unfortunately. The Black Rose pack is probably gonna be C or D tier. I would go with C tier because you can use the Black Rose cards in other decks as well, which is amazing. Now we also have the Yangzin pack and I would go with actually F tier because there's a better way to get them from the Sword Soul pack, so you don't need to spend your gems on this. We also have the Dragunity pack and I'm gonna go with maybe D tier because you will want to pick up the Feud spell. However, the Dragunity cards are not that amazing anymore. No one really cares about them, but if you're a fan of Dragunity, the deck isn't as terrible, so you can still play it if you'd like. It's just that the majority of people want to get the Feud spell for Dragon Link and that's it. The Perform Mage pack is actually terrible. Don't buy this because none of the cards are actually that important there. We also have the TG pack and I would go with B tier because even though the deck isn't as incredible, it is just a very nice and budget option. Now we have the Cosmic Mechanical Entities, which is one of my favorite secret packs because it has the Mech Knights, it has also the Nightmare cards, which are both very nice archetypes, and the Nightmare cards specifically are really good to pick up, so it's never a bad option. For the Odd Eyes pack, I would go with D tier because the archetype isn't as amazing, but the pack is actually not that bad. We also have the Gravekeepers, which are absolutely terrible, unfortunately, even though I personally love them a lot. For the Gimmick Puppet cards, I would go with A tier because the pack actually received the new support, so you can pick up everything you need to play the deck, which is absolutely amazing. Same thing goes for the DD pack. I really like the fact that you can just pull for it, get the cards and play it, no extra cost, which is amazing. For the Harpy pack, I would go with obviously C tier because the deck is just not that impressive. However, it is still a nice option if you want to play something for fun, I guess. Now the Blazing Warriors pack, even though a fun option, it is definitely not good and you don't need any of the cards there. Solomon Great is also a terrible pack to get because there's already a structure deck, so just get the structure deck and maybe craft a Now Mirage if you want. Aliens are obviously F tier, but if you do play them in a Reptile deck, they're actually pretty strong, but in general they're just really bad, so I really don't want to give them a higher rating. We also have the Nordeck pack, which is the same thing. If you want to play Nordeck, it is pretty fun, but in general it's just a really bad deck. Now for the Draco Slayer pack, I'm gonna go with B tier because there are quite a bit of good cards there you can pick up if you want to play Draco Slayers. However, the new support isn't there, so you're gonna have to open a different secret pack as well. We also have the Madoche Do pack, which is not very good because you can just pick up the Madoche cards from the new secret pack. You don't need to go into it at all. Kind of the same thing goes for Infernoble Knights, but I'm gonna give them D tier because the archetype is great and you might want to get a more budget, quicker option to build the deck, I guess. Maybe there's a reason to pull for it. Okay, this tier list got huge, so let me just go like this so you can see as well. Now moving on, we have the Utopia cards. I would go with D tier because there are some decent XC staples there, but in general you can just pick up the structure deck and just grab them if you'd like. The Reptile pack is obviously terrible, you don't need any of the cards, so don't pull for it. Now the Guardians of the Sky, in my opinion, is actually now an S tier pack because it has a Palooza and it has some very nice staples as well, which is great. The Laval pack, there's probably not even a single person who knows what this pack contains and it's still terrible. Same thing goes for the Fortune Lady pack, same thing goes for the Dark Magician because you can just buy the structure deck, of course. However, the Melodious pack, in my opinion, is actually S tier because the new support was added there, which is absolutely incredible. You can just pick it up and play it and it's a pretty nice deck. For the Volcanic structure pack, now that it has Bonfire and some of the new Volcanic cards, maybe it's probably C tier, but I would still not pull for it because it's a little too expensive to build a deck and there are plenty of URs there, which is not great. The old Dragon Maid Starry Night pack is absolutely terrible in my opinion, unless you want to play Starry Nights, but they're just not that amazing, so I really don't see a reason why you would pull for them. You would probably just pick up the structure deck and play Dragon Maids instead. Weather Peters are probably C tier because the pack is actually fine. It's really budget, but it's not a good deck, so yeah, I mean, I'm just gonna give them a C tier. The Heraldic pack is absolutely terrible. Same thing goes for the Gen X pack. We also have the Fire Formation cards, which are actually not terrible. I'm gonna give them a D tier maybe because you might want to play the deck and it's kind of fun, I guess. The Violent cards are absolutely terrible, of course. Same thing goes for the Super Heavy Samurai because the new support isn't actually there, and same thing goes for the Arcana pack. Now for the Vampire and the Eldritch pack, I would go with D tier. However, there's a better pack to pull for if you want to get Eldritch, for example, from the Testina pack. The Insector Insect pack is, in my opinion, probably F tier because you can just pick up the Beach Trooper pack and it's a little bit better, of course. Same thing goes for the Ghost Trick cards. Of course, they're pretty bad as well. And oh my god, why is this tier list so big? The Sylvan pack is another one of those terrible options. Same thing goes for the Mech Wards, and this is gonna be the Cosmo with also the Galaxy stuff, and it's also F tier. Bujin are actually D tier because they're a nice archetype but not that good. Payboat is another one of those F tier decks. You really don't want to play this. Danger are probably S tier because the Kaiju and Danger cards are still nice to pick up. The Plancer and I believe the Battery cards are actually terrible in my opinion. Don't need to get them. Phantom Knights are gonna be B tier because they're pretty budget and you get some great cards. Of course, the Phantom Knight engine is pretty nice as well. The Dream Mirror pack is terrible. You don't need to pick it up, but I'm gonna give it D tier just because Dream Mirror cards are kind of fun, I guess, and you can pick them up if you like the archetype. And dude, I'm just gonna go like this. Oh my god, it's crazy. Moving on, we have the Worm pack, which is terrible. The Raid Raptors are, in my opinion, A tier or even maybe S tier because the deck is full power. There you can pick up and play all of the cards, so maybe I'm gonna give them S tier. Actually, they're a pretty good deck. We also have the Kuwaki, which is terrible. The Ally of Justice, whatever, this is terrible as well. The Lightsworn pack is probably gonna be C tier. I don't know if the new support is there. I don't think so. Oh, never mind, the new support is there, so I'm changing my mind. This is now gonna be an A tier option, pardon me. Now we have the Endymion cards. I would go with D tier. The pack is fine, but I guess the deck is not really that great, so there's really not much of a reason to get it. It's also ridiculously expensive. The Ancient Warriors and stuff are D tier. Same thing goes for the Evil Zawar cards. You don't really need much of a reason to get them. We also have, what is this? I can't even recognize these anymore. Oh, it's the Clifford pack. Yeah, F tier. Valkyries are also F tier. This is the Spellbook pack, F tier as well. The Heraldic pack is also, the Herald pack actually is also F tier. We also have the Armed Dragon pack, which is probably F tier as well. The Luna Light with the other archetype, the Little Lusk, are probably C tier because they're decent options as well. Trap Tricks is most likely gonna be either A or S tier. I'm gonna go with A tier because Trap Tricks in general isn't as popular and amazing anymore, but it's still a very solid option you can play. Cubic pack is absolutely D tier. The Galaxy pack, I think you'll need to pull for it just to get some of the Galaxy cards, so I'm gonna give it C tier because that will be necessary to build the deck, but of course you'll have to pick up other cards and spend more resources, which is annoying. Now we have the newest pack, and I'm gonna give it D tier because there are some nice newest cards you can play with heroes, but in general it's just not that amazing. The Numeron pack is probably gonna be C tier because it's still decent. You also get Numeron Dragon, Baguska, the Numeron engine, which is not as incredible but still kind of nice to play if you'd like. Cyber Dragon pack is absolutely F tier because you already have the structure deck. Just buy the structure deck. This is the Gaga Go whatever pack. I would go with D or maybe C tier. Actually D tier because the deck isn't that great. The Simorgh pack is terrible. You don't really need any of the cards in there. You can just grab the Simorgh UR, I guess, and just move on. We also have the Arcana Joker whatever pack. I would go with also F tier because there's really no reason to play this. Brankets pack, it's still gonna be probably A or even S tier option. I'm gonna go with A tier because the power level has fallen off, but it's still an amazing deck. For Dinos, I'm gonna go B tier because the pack is a little more expensive now and the deck is really expensive to build and it's actually not that incredible, but still I'm a Dino fan, so yeah, I mean, I'm gonna have to go with something higher. Now we have the Paleozoic, Fossil and Triamid pack, and I would go with F tier of course because you don't need any of the cards. You can just grab the Paleozoic cards that you need and move on. We also have the Gem Knight and the Adamancipator pack, which I'm gonna give B tier because it still has the Adamancipator cards. However, there's actually another way to pick up the Adamancipator card, so I think this is now gonna be C tier because the Gem Knights are not really great. The Phantom Beast pack is gonna be F tier. You don't need them, just grab the cards you need and move on. You don't care about the rest. Now for Necros, I'm gonna go with C tier because it's a solid option, but the deck isn't as incredible as it used to be. Dude, this is huge. I can't even show all this. Oh my god. We also have the Thunder Dragons, and I would go with actually C tier because there are actually better options to get the Thunder Dragon cards. We also have the Roid cards, which are absolutely terrible. We also have the Unchained cards, which are actually decent, but the new support isn't there, so I'm gonna give it C tier as well. The Dark World pack is gonna be B tier in my opinion because the new support is there and it's a little bit easier to pick up the deck now. The Ocean Umi pack or whatever is gonna be F tier, absolutely terrible. We also have the Red Dragon Archfiend pack, which I would give a B or even C tier, maybe B tier actually. Oh, pardon me, the new support is actually there, so I'm gonna give it S tier because it's just amazing option and it's a really cool deck you can pick up. Now we have the pack that has the Bastion cards and the Mathematician and stuff. It's absolutely terrible, of course. The Junk cards are also terrible. The Spiral pack is gonna be B tier because it's actually a pretty good option. Now we have the Sun Avalon pack, which is a solid option. I'm gonna give it B tier because if you play plants, you will need to pick up some of those cards, of course. Now we also have the Witchcrafter with the Invoked cards, and I'm gonna give it maybe a C or D tier. Let's go C. The archetypes are fine, they're just a little old and outdated. Now for the Shark cards, I'm gonna go with F tier because there's a better way to get them, and the only good card here is the Bahamut Shark. Unfortunately, we also have the same reason for Fortress. Basically, there's nothing good in there. Now for the Dragonlink pack, I'm still gonna go with S tier because it's absolutely amazing. For the Hero pack, I'm gonna go D tier because you would still need some cards, but the best option is just to pick up the structure deck. For the Sky Striker pack, this is the older one actually. I'm gonna go with C tier, but the newer one is gonna be a little bit better option in my opinion. Now for Black Wings, I'm gonna go with B tier because you will need to pick up some of these cards even though you buy the structure deck, and the deck is actually really good, so it's definitely worth it. For the Cold Talkers, I'm gonna go also with B tier because there are some amazing staples you'll need to pick up. For the Cyber Angel pack, I'm gonna go with D tier because there are some cool things you can pick up there for ritual plays, but in general it's a pretty bad archetype, so you don't need it. Now we have the S-Force and IPSP pack with the also Time Thieves, and this is absolutely S tier. You need to get into this if you don't have some of the staples there. They're absolutely amazing. Now the Charmers pack is absolutely terrible, F tier. Now we have also the Crusadia cards together with the Orcus cards, and I'm gonna go with A tier because it's actually really easy and budget to pick this up, and it's actually two very nice archetypes you can play. For the Stardust pack, I'm gonna go with D tier because it's outdated and there's a better way to pick up all of those cards, so yeah, but in general it's a little more budget if you want to snipe maybe a tuning or something. Of course, the Element Sabers are gonna be F tier together with the number cards. They're also F tier. The pack is really not great. The Assault Mode pack is also F tier. Unfortunately, the Earthbound Immortals I think have the new support. Yes, it does. It contains all of the support, but I'm still gonna give it D tier because the cards are absolutely useless and you're gonna play them in maybe 1 to 2 decks in general. For the Blue Eyes pack, I would go with F tier. Just buy the structure deck and it's better. Now we have the Red Eyes cards, which I would go with D tier because it's at least budget. However, the Red Eyes cards are of course not very good and you won't really care about them too much. The Evil Eye pack, I would go with C tier because it does have the Evil Eye cards, which are pretty good, but it doesn't have the new support, so you're gonna have to grab the new support as well for the deck. However, I'm actually a big fan of Evil Eye because the deck is budget and it's actually pretty good. For the Amazement cards, I'm gonna go C tier for the same reasons. You can just pick up a budget deck and play it and it's fun. For the Heroes, I'm gonna go D tier because there's a structure deck and yada yada. You can just pick up the cards from there. Now for the Wind Dragon of Ryan stuff, it's gonna be F tier. Of of course, unfortunately, is not a good option. So yeah, ninja, same thing. You don't need them. Just pick up the structure deck. It's way better. For Infernity, I'm gonna go with D tier. Even though Infernities are not amazing, you can just get the cards in a budget way. So that's that. Maybe you would like to play them. I don't know. For the Zodiac Crystron pack, I'm gonna go with C tier because you can pick up the Zodiac cards fairly easily if you'd like. The Goki cards are absolutely terrible. Same thing goes for the Gusto pack, and the Chronomalies, I'm gonna give them D tier because I kind of like them, but of course they're not really necessary to play. And now to continue, oh my god, I can't even, bro, I cannot even see the squares anymore. It's so hard. All right, this is the Tune pack. I would go with D tier because, I mean, yeah, it's just tunes. It's fine, I guess. Now for the FA UA, I'm gonna go with F tier because they're also terrible. Same thing goes for Karakuri cards. The heroes are gonna be D tier because I already explained why. The Morphotronics are gonna be D tier. The Gladiators are gonna be D tier. The Furkhar together with the Plunder Patrol pack is gonna be actually, in my opinion, B tier because it's a pretty good way to pick up both archetypes, and both of them are actually fine to play. They're pretty fun. The Gaia pack is terrible because you can just buy it from the structure deck. We also have the Amazones, absolutely horrible. The Speedroids are gonna be C tier because Speedroids in general aren't that incredible, but they do have some cool staples there. For the windups, I'm gonna go with F tier because they're pretty bad as well. Same thing goes for the Sacred Beast. You don't really care about them. The Subterror Generators, I'm gonna go with D tier, but there is a better way to get the generator cards. And Evo Swarm secret pack is absolutely terrible, so you don't need it as well. And these were actually all of the secret packs that came out when the game launched. The rest are gonna be the cards that came afterwards. Now I decided to create a new template because things got a little too crazy over there. First of all, we have the Sky Striker pack. I would go with A tier because the cards are actually really easy to pick up now from there. We also have the B Trooper Injector pack. I'm gonna go with D tier because obviously the decks are bad. Now for the Sprite pack, I'm gonna go with B tier. Even though sprites are actually not terrible to play anymore, they're just not that amazing. You can just pick up the cards that you need from there and leave because there are also Battery Man cards there, and you really don't want to get anything but the Sprite cards. Now the Nouvelle pack is actually a pack I would give S tier, not because the deck is that popular and insanely powerful, but because it's actually really budget easy to pick up and it has only 4 URs. It's super simple to get the cards. Now this is gonna be the Pendulum pack with the Valence, and I'm gonna go with maybe C tier because Pendulums are obviously not that amazing anymore and Valence are not that popular. However, it is actually not a bad option if you want to play Pendulum deck specifically. For the Libromancer pack, I'm gonna go with D tier because the archetype is not very good and the pack is also not that incredible. We also have the Gold Pride cards, and I'm gonna go with maybe the same thing, D tier. The cards are not that amazing, and there's also the Ultra Athlete archetype, which makes it more expensive. Now the Raging Gods of the Sea, which I believe was the name of the pack, is absolutely terrible. Just grab the cards, no need to pull for them. There are so many URs there. Mikakos are gonna be C tier because the archetype is relatively good and the pack is relatively cheap, so I guess it's fine. Now for the Purli pack, I'm gonna go with B tier because the cool thing is most of the cards are in there, so you're just gonna have to pull for them and build a deck, and the deck is also relatively good to this day as well. The Stardust pack is gonna be D tier, but there is a better way to get all of the Stardust support if you'd like to play something with it. The Baron Infernoble Knight pack is gonna be C tier for me, even though I really don't like it because there are some completely useless cards. There are also some good staples, and Infernoble Knights are pretty good archetype as well. Now the newly released Memento pack is actually gonna be S tier for me because I really like the fact that you just go on the pack, get the cards, leave, and it's good, and you also get the Thunder Dragons, which are not that bad of an archetype as well. The Manadian pack is gonna be, in my opinion, B or even C tier. I would go with B, but the problem is it's ridiculously expensive and it's on a similar power level to some of the older decks as well. I really don't think it's worth your gems at the moment. Now this is the Despia pack, and I'm gonna go with maybe C tier here because it's a little awkward. Some of the Despia cards are good, but then again the branded pack is gonna be a little bit better to pull, so yeah, I'm gonna go with the middle. The Sword Soul pack together with the Yang Zinks is gonna be another one that's C because the Sword Soul archetype just fell off, but it's still a decent deck. I guess you can pick it up and play it. For the Nimleria pack, I'm gonna go actually with B tier because it has the Madoche cards, and that's very nice, and you can pick up a fairly strong deck from there. For the Tier Limit pack, I'm also gonna go with maybe B tier because it also has the Atlantean cards and it's a little too expensive. For the Kashiras, I'm gonna go with C tier actually because even though the cards are amazing, I would much rather grab them because there are only 4 cards you need to build a small engine. Now for the Rescue Ace pack, I'm actually gonna go up to A tier because Rescue Ace is very good, and you also have a fairly easy option to get the Rescue Ace card. It's not as expensive in my opinion, which is nice. Now for the Vernislift pack, I'm gonna go with F tier because the only reason why you would want to play it is for the Adamantipator cards, and you can just craft whatever you need because there are G Golems and some useless cards that you really don't want to get. And you also have the Bestial pack, and I would go with D tier because you can just grab the Bestials. Honestly, if you pull for them, you might spend a lot of gems to get them because the pack is filled with useless stuff. Now for the new Sharp pack, I'm actually gonna go with D tier because honestly I believe this to be a little bit of a scam. There are some useless URs there, and you're gonna end up spending gems and pulling stuff that you really don't care about. The Centurion pack, I'm gonna go with S tier because Centurion is just a really good deck you can pick up, and it's one of the best you can play, and honestly it's worth the gems. The Horus pack is also gonna be S tier, even though it's a little more on the expensive side. You just get one of the best small engines, and it's definitely worth it in my opinion. The Exorcist boosters are gonna be F tier because the deck is just terrible, no reason to get them. The Tyrion cards, I'm gonna go with D tier because even though you can pick up some nice Tyrion cards and maybe the Regulus and the Feud spell, outside of that, the rest is gonna be a little useless in my opinion. Now for the Chimera pack, I'm gonna go with C tier in the middle because I really don't like the fact that in the secret pack, you're gonna have to spend your gems for half of the cards that are good and half of the cards that are absolutely garbage and useless. The Snake Eye pack is gonna be an A tier option, but the reason why it's not higher than that is simply because the archetype is just in a pack that's ridiculously expensive. There are so many URs there, so you're gonna have to spend a lot of gems. Now for the IJ and Goatee pack, even though I like the cards, the archetypes are actually pretty bad, so I don't really think it's worth your gems, so don't buy them. And the Tistina pack is also gonna be another D tier option because it's not really the biggest of deals. The archetypes are fine if you wanna have fun, but they're not really that strong. Now for the ones who serve Ra pack, I'm gonna go with F tier, even though there are the Shufflers there, which is nice, and it also has the spheres, you can just grab the cards, no need to pull for them. The Fuwanderees pack is also under terrible pack, don't pick this up because the deck is absolutely terrible. Now we also have the Dino pack, and I'm gonna go with D tier because there are some nice cards, but of course dinos are not really that incredible. For the Punk pack, I'm gonna go with C tier because the Punk cards are nice, but the problem is they're also Karakuri cards, so half of them are gonna be good cards, half of them are gonna be absolutely garbage that you don't need. Now for the Runic and Generator pack, I'm actually gonna go B tier, even though the archetypes are not that amazing. The cool thing is they're actually put really well together and they have a bunch of cool URs that you need, and that's it. You don't need to spend extra gems or something. Now for the Volmonica pack, I'm also gonna go with B tier because it's actually a relatively cheap way to get the Volmonica cards. There are only 4 URs there, which means it's gonna be a little cheaper and easier to get access to the deck. Now of course the deck is not that amazing, but it's still a budget option. For the Vanquish Soul cards, I'm gonna go with C tier. Again, it has a similar problem to the Punks because they just have half of the cards that's good, half of the cards that's absolutely garbage, so yeah. The Branded pack is a pack that I would go with maybe either A or B tier. I would go with A tier because Branded is overall a pretty good deck. It's gonna be a little pricey, but it's definitely gonna be worth it if you wanna play Branded. Now moving on, we have this Scarecrow Vista Starfrost pack, and I'm actually gonna go with C tier as well. Another one of those, either you get good cards or you get absolute garbage. And finally for Labyrinth, I'm gonna go with C tier as well because we have a similar problem there where half of the cards are good, half of the cards are bad, and for some reason they just like to design packs this way. But alright, these were all of the secret packs in Yu-Gi-Oh! Master Duel ranked from worst to best. If you don't agree with something, let me know in the comments below, and I'm sure you do. And also check out more Master Duel content and leave a like and subscribe if you enjoyed the video because I would greatly appreciate it. For now though, have a great day and I'll see you in the next video.